What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to Storytime with your favorite Reddit fairy. My name is Lorna, and today we're getting into the r/EntitledParents subreddit. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. Finally got one. Posted by user DiamondHound2509. Short, but sweet. This grandma calls customer services where I work to inquire about an order she placed the day before. I tell her it's been packed today and will be out for delivery tomorrow. She replies saying that the website told her blah blah blah. No point in typing it. You guys and girls can imagine, I'm sure. Process to say that 1. She's going to the store and demands her parcel be there in 5 minutes. Okay, Karen. And 2. She's already told her granddaughter that she can have the item that day. As soon as she said that, I thought of this subreddit. Told her no chance she'll get it today. If she can find it in the store, buy it and cancel the order online. Begins huffing and puffing and cuts the call. I finally got one. Yeah, Karen, it doesn't work like that. More than likely it's probably coming from like a different city. The reason that it's going to be shipped is probably because, it needs to be shipped from another city to that store. So, be it sometimes things that I order come from like 4 hours away. Typically is one of the biggest shipping points in my province. So 5 minutes in a 4-hour actual trip is not going to happen. Entitled mother kills her child and ruins the career of my sister-in-law. Posted by user One Who Lived. First of all, it is a long and horrible story, so apologies in advance. Second, English is not my first language, so pardon any mistakes I may make. This happened in August 2017 and involves 2 lengthy lawsuits, one of which lasted 1.5 years and another for almost 2 years. I'm not directly involved in it as it happened to my sister-in-law. Back in 2017, my sister-in-law, SIL for short, was in her final year for nursing school. She was required to intern as trainee nurse for 6 months. She chose to join a private school for her internship. It was one of those international private schools where kids of ultra-rich parents go. Part 1. The incident. 15th of August is India's Independence Day, and there was a celebration in the school. It was your usual flag ceremony with flag march by students and student band, some plays by students depicting events of freedom movement, some cultural exhibition put together by each class, food and game stalls by teacher, etc. At the end of the day, top 3 class performances, plays, and cultural exhibition were awarded, and select students were given Certificate of Excellence for outstanding performances. Everything was going normal in the beginning, but a student collapsed during the parade, so he was brought in the doctor's office. Doctor checked him and found that he was running a moderate fever. He was also slightly dehydrated. So the doctor gave him some medicines, asked my sister-in-law to give him a glass of glucose water. He scolded the kid for participating in the parade while in fever and wrote him a note excusing him from any further activity. He then asked the kid if his parents were present, and the kid said that his mother was there. So doctor told him he could go home if he wanted, or he could sit in the shade with his mother to watch the rest of the ceremony. The kid asked if he could just stay there and rest for a while, so the doctor said that he could and could use one of the beds to take a nap. Since there was nothing else to do in the office, the doctor excused himself to go and have something to eat from the stalls, leaving my sister-in-law and a janitor in the office. Hardly 5 minutes later, the mother, entitled mother, marched in the office and went directly to check on her child. My sister-in-law tried to tell her that the kid was running a fever and taking a nap, but entitled mother ignored her. She shook the kid and asked him how he was feeling. The kid said, fine. Entitled mother said, good, now get up. You gotta get ready for your play, sweetie. Everyone else is already dressed up. My sister-in-law again tried to explain. He is running a fever. He wants to rest. Entitled mother replied, oh, it's fine. He is fine, aren't you, sweetie? The kid just looked at my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law said, "The doctor has excused him from other activities. It would be better if you just take him home and let him rest." Entitled mother said, "It is just a play. I'm sure my sweetie can handle it. He is a tough man. Isn't that right, sweetie?" Sister-in-law tried again. It would be better for him to just rest. He is still under fever. And with that, entitled mother lost her mind. She screamed to my sister-in-law's face, "Oh, you know what's better for him? I'm his mother. I know what's best for him. How dare you? My son is the topper of his class. He is playing the most important part in the play. He is the best. If he doesn't participate in the play, he will not get the certificate of excellence. He needs to stay at the top of everything or else he'll become a laughingstock, so don't you dare tell me what's better for him." The kid, seeing his mother losing her mind, stood up and said to my sister-in-law with a smile, "It's okay, sister. I'm fine. Thanks for caring for me." Shocked and stunned, my sister-in-law only managed to say, "Let me call the doctor." Entitled mother retorted, "I come from a family of doctors. My father is the director of a very well-known private hospital. You people aren't even qualified enough to work in a hospital." She grabbed the arm of her child and marched away. My sister-in-law called the doctor, who said, "Well, it's her child. What can we do? We did our part." About an hour later, the same kid was rushed in again as he again collapsed during the play. The doctor checked on him, gave him an injection, and asked him to be transferred to a hospital immediately as the kid was unconscious and not responding. An ambulance was called and kid was taken to the hospital. The day ended without any other incident. 2 days later, the school learned that the kid passed away in the hospital. My sister-in-law was distraught upon hearing the news. She kept crying for the rest of the day. She kept saying how it was her fault and how she could have prevented it if she stood her ground. How the kid smiled at her and thanked her for caring for him. We told her that it wasn't her fault and consoled her to the best of our abilities. Even her professor from nursing school came and tried to make her feel better. About a week later, she was informed that the school was opening an inquiry and a board of inquiry will look into the matter and that she will be called for interview. The doctor assured her that it was just a formality for school to cover all of the bases and she didn't need to worry about it. In her interview, she stated everything that happened. She was then asked why she felt it was her fault, as she said so to the class teacher of the kid in her crying fit. She explained that at the time, she was overwhelmed by emotions and thought she could have done things differently. She was asked if there was anyone who will corroborate her story, and she named the janitor who was present in the office at the time. She was then informed that she was placed under suspicion until the inquiry concludes. When she went back to collect her things from the office, Doctor once again assured her that there was nothing to worry about. He will make sure that no harm will come to her. Few days later, she received a letter from the school that they concluded the investigation and found her guilty of negligence, and thus her contract was terminated. She called the school supervisor, who informed her that her story did not match the story told by the doctor and the janitor, thus there was nothing that can be done. Termination of the contract meant that she couldn't complete her final term on time, so she put the application for extension to the nursing school. She thought it was over, but boy, were we in for a bomb dropped on us. Part 2. The legal trouble. A few days later, 2 cops knocked on the door of my father-in-law and asked to speak to my sister-in-law. They informed them that the family of the kid filed an FIR, First Incident Report, against my sister-in-law. They accused her to cause the death of the kid. They asked if they can question her, but my father-in-law denied and told them that they can only question her in the presence of a lawyer. So the cop asked her to come to the police station the next day for the questioning. We got the lawyer immediately, who at first called the cops and asked for a later date to be set for the question. Then he told us to get an anticipatory bail ASAP in case police decides to arrest her, so we did. In the questioning, the lawyer talked for the most part. He provided them with the written statement of my sister-in-law. The police asked their questions and directed my sister-in-law to not leave the state without informing them first, etc., etc. Few more days go by and she received a summons from the court as the state decided to try her for the crime. The lawyer suggested to track down and speak to the janitor, as he was the only witness in the otherwise she said case, and so we did. The janitor was reluctant to talk at first, but after my sister-in-law begged him, he told us that the doctor told him that if he told the truth, he will be admitting to the same mistake that the nurse did and will be fired for sure, and the only way to save himself was to tell the story that the doctor was telling him. The story the doctor told to the school's board of inquiry was that the doctor had the kid under observation with the strict instruction that he would not be released under any circumstance, and that my sister-in-law released the kid without asking or informing him. We asked him to testify in the court, which at first he refused, but later agreed with a bit of persuasion. Once we had janitor on our side, the lawyer also filed a case of wrongful termination against the school, accusing the inquiry to be a partial and biased one. Once the court hearing started, we learned that the entitled mother told white lies to the father of the kid. She never told him that she forced the kid to perform in the play. Instead, she said the kid wanted to play his part. She also hid the fact that nurse objected and showed her the doctor's note. Her story was that the kid wanted to participate in the play, and when she asked the nurse said everything was fine and he could play his part. The case went on for a year and a half. Janitor provided his testimony with the prosecution, tried to discredit, saying that he told a different story during school inquiry, so he was not a reliable witness. But the judge refused, taking note that the doctor tried to intimidate him, and in turn asked the prosecution if they investigated the doctor's part in the incident as to why he forced janitor to lie and why he was not present during his duty hours. When prosecution replied in negative, the judge asked police to file a case against the school doctor. During her stand, my sister-in-law got very emotional and started crying as she recounted the events of that entire day. The only witness prosecution was a child's mother who couldn't keep her story straight during cross-questioning. Finally, in the judgment, court ruled in my sister-in-law's favor, noting that prosecution's witness had massive holes in her story, while defendant provided a solid witness. He also noted that even if prosecution was to be believed, defendant being only a trainee nurse wasn't even qualified to release the student, and by taking the kid away without the doctor's expressed opinion, the responsibility of consequences fell on the mother of the child. He also commented on school's mismanagement by not having a fully qualified nurse. They were in violation of federal laws. He scolded the prosecution for having a tunnel vision and going after defendant, who was obviously innocent and a vulnerable young girl herself. After the court ruled in our favor, the school decided to settle the wrongful termination case. It was finalized last month and we can finally put it all behind us. However, due to all the emotional distress and trauma, my sis-in-law decided to drop out of nursing school, thus ending her dreams of becoming a nurse. She will probably join an honors course next year, but right now she is still troubled with the nightmares of going to jail and needs therapy to get over it. The police has opened a fresh case against the doctor who was let go from the school this year. He is also being investigated by State's Medical Association for wrongdoings. If found guilty, he will be barred from practice. We have no information on entitled mother or her husband. Edit. Thank you kindly, the generous Redditor, for my first gold. Although I'm not sure if I deserve it, after all this is the story of my sister-in-law. Thank you again. Edit 2. Wow, this blew up. I was not expecting it to get as much attention given the horribleness of the story. Thank you all for the support and love you have given. Kind Redditors who gave me platinum, gold, and silver, thank you for your generosity. And finally, to all the people who are looking/searching for news reports or asking for one. As I said in one of the comments, it did make to local news, but I will not provide any link or give even a remotely identifying detail because the information in the news can be used to track and dox my sister-in-law. She already had a lot of shit to deal with, many of her peers just assuming her guilt. She's having a lot of trouble dealing with the fallout of this entire episode. She is afraid of even stepping out of the house, and she is having frequent nightmares of going to jail. I really do not care whether you believe this story or not, but do not ask me which state it took place or any other detail. I purposefully kept the details in the story as vague as possible. Hope you understand. Thank you once again. Wow, that was an intense story. Holy crap, that is entitlement to its fullest. Oh, I feel so bad for the father of that child. Like, oh my God. This is a hard one. Wow. That woman definitely needs to go to jail, and I really, 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 really hope that she is going to jail. Oh, wow. Guys, this story has 10.9 thousand upvotes in 21 hours. 21 hours. Wow. If she's not an Olympic level skier on her first day, it's the ski's fault. Posted by user SteveCoreGuy4. So I'm not sure if this lady would be considered entitled, so I hope this is okay. I was at a ski lodge in Canada, fairly busy in a long line to the lifts. I was waiting for my friend who was still getting their boots on when I saw a lady who looked more like a grandmother than a mother now that I think about it. I thought she was waiting for a skier, perhaps a friend or her husband, but then I see a little girl heading very cautiously down a big slope. She looked to be about 8. 8! And what made it worse was that she was alone. So she spots the lady and kinda walked up in a snowshoeing motion. This lady pulled the skis off her boots, almost breaking them, throws them on the ground, and proceeds to stomp on them repeatedly and very aggressively. That did the job. They looked totaled. After all that ski abuse, she yells at the kid in a language I couldn't understand and proceeds to return the skis to the rental shop. She's 8, lady, not an Olympic skier. Holy, that is definitely an entitled parent. Oh, wow. I don't even... What? She's 8, lady. What the fuck? What is wrong with people? I wish... Oh my God, I'm trying to picture this in my head and I can, and that's what's frightening me. This is fucked. Entitled Mother at the Beach. Posted by user Texas Teacher. This happened about 4 years ago. My niece was 10 and nephew 7. I took them to the beach. At one point, they tell me they needed to go to the restroom. I give them the stick together speech and send them off. They have been to this beach several times every summer their whole lives. I stay with our stuff, but I can see them up until they walk up the steps to the building with the bathrooms and gift shop. A little bit later, I look up and can pick both of them running towards me through the crowd. Niece is tall and a towhead. She has been in dance from her first step. Nephew is an athlete with red hair. They're easy to find in a crowd just from their way of walking, followed by a woman. They get to me, and before the kids could say anything, she starts screaming. Entitled Mother. Did you let those kids go off by themselves? Me. No, they were with each other. They are fine. Entitled Mother. They are too young. Me. She is 10. According to the state of Texas, she is old enough to be held accountable for her actions, including being arrested. So I think she is old enough to walk with her brother to public bathrooms in a place filled with families. Entitled Mother. They could have been kidnapped. Besides, they were rude to me. Me. How? Entitled Mother. I told them to come with me to the lifeguard because they were lost, and they said, no, go away, we don't know you. Me. So they refused to go off with a stranger. A basic safety rule 3-year-old kids are taught, and that makes them rude? At this point, a lifeguard and a guy in a golf shirt with the park logo and shorts walks up and they simply tell the woman to leave me alone and that she has been told to stop harassing other visitors. The lifeguard walks her away. The manager type confirmed with the kids that she had spoken to them, ordered them to come with her, but had not grabbed or touched them. Then he told me they were going to make her and her family leave because this wasn't the first incident that day. The kids got praise from me and the next day their parents for handling the situation perfectly, telling the woman firmly no and refusing to engage the crazy any further. Not falling into refusing to obey random adults without question is a rude trap. I also had a couple of people come up and apologize for not intervening. Basically, because by the time they registered that the woman was a stranger to niece and nephew were running across the loose sand to me. Okay, that last little paragraph is kind of made my brain freeze a minute. But like, if this is real, this is freaking hilarious. Like, stranger danger to the max. This woman thinks kids are being rude because they don't want to go with a stranger. Like, oh, the entitlement. This is why I like Choosing Beggars more, because the Choosing Beggars subreddit is a hell of a lot funnier. Entitled Parents just makes me want to smack my forehead like 5,000 times, and then I end up with the headache when I'm done. Provided a lot of the Choosing Beggars are really entitled people, but it's the entitled parents that I find the worst of the worst. Called me homophobic slurs over a pair of boots. Posted by user NerdyKate100. Apologies in advance for the weird format. I'm on mobile. When I was 16, I was working part-time at the shoe store, Journeys. I had my hair dyed pink and cut in a cliche butch lesbian style. I'm bisexual. It was mid-December, so the Christmas rush was in full swing. The store was pretty busy, so I was running around assisting customers. In walks entitled mom and her spawn. This woman is tall, blonde, obviously fake tanned, and her child, around 13 to 14 years old, is the same. I walk up to them and greet them as expected for employees. Me. Hi, welcome to Journeys. Is there anything in particular you're looking for? This woman looks me up and down, mentally picking me apart. I felt like a bug about to be crushed by her shoe. I'm used to rude customers, so I ignore it. Entitled mom. My daughter is looking to buy some pairs of Ugg boots as early Christmas presents. I assume that your store has them. I'm elated. I work on commission, and Ugg boots were some of the most expensive shoes in our store. I thought I had hit the motherlode. I guide her over to the wall that had the Ugg boots. I tell her my name and tell her to let me know if her spawn wants to try anything on. I begin to walk away to check on another one of my customers. Suddenly, I feel cold, spinely fingers grab the back of my shirt and jerk me back. I yelp and turn back to see the spawn glaring at me. Me. Please let go of my shirt. Spawn. I want to try all the Uggs in a size 7. She let go of my shirt, so I was relieved about that. I figured if she tried anything else, I'd let my manager know. At that point, I had the giant order of getting every Ugg boot style. I run in the back of the store and search for as many size 7 boots as possible. Since size 7 is a common size and 2016 was a popular year for Uggs, we were missing quite a few styles. I shrugged and brought out 6 boxes. The balancing skills were real. I bring them out for the spawn and entitled mom. The spawn looked over the shoes and her face scrunched up in anger. Spawn. Mom, this homophobic slur didn't get me the pair that I liked. I didn't even have time to process the fact that I'd just been called up before entitled mom was up in my face. Entitled mom. My daughter told you to get one of every style. Are you deaf as well as dumb? I start to stutter. I have severe social anxiety and sensory processing disorder. I was quickly getting overwhelmed. I do my best to explain that a lot of our sizes were sold out since the style was popular. I offer to order it online for her so she could pick it up at the store in a few weeks. Entitled mother. No, you just missed the pair. Go back and bring them out for my daughter or I'm going to tell your manager. I sprinted to the back, asking my coworker to help the rest of the customers I'd been helping before the bitchy whirlwind entered the store. I double-checked and came back out to see my coworker being hounded by entitled mother and spawn. My coworker gestured for me to get over there. Entitled mom. Why are you bringing her back? I came to you so that I wouldn't have to deal with that stupid homophobic slur. My coworker walked away and told me that she was getting our manager. Entitled mom. Did you find the shoes? Me. No, ma'am. Like I said, we're out of stock. Before Entitled Mom could explode, my manager, a reserved gay man, walked up to us. Manager: what seems to be the problem, ladies? Entitled Mom: this bitch told my daughter that she wanted to have sex with her, and she's not getting us the shoes that we want. If you don't fire her, then we're going to call the police and file for sexual harassment. My manager was obviously taken aback. He'd seen me with my now ex-girlfriend and knew that I would never say something like that, especially to a customer. Manager: I'm sorry to hear that you're unhappy with your service. However, I know my employee, and I don't believe that she'd try to flirt with your daughter. I can go back and check to see if we have your size, though. He went back, dragging me with him. Manager: what actually happened? I explained everything. We went and triple-checked the stock, and lo and behold, there were none in her size. I stayed in the back while my manager broke the news to the wicked witches. From the back room, I could hear Entitled Mom shriek. Entitled Mom: that probably hit it. How dare you take her side? I'm the customer. I pay your bills. I peeked out. Most of the customers had either cleared out or stopped what they were doing to watch. My manager, somehow keeping his cool through all of this, explained. Manager: look, ma'am, we don't have your size in the boots you were interested in. We can suggest different styles or order the boots online. However, if you keep calling my employee bad names, I'll have to ask you to leave. The woman bristled and looked ready to throw hands with my manager. Her spawn stepped in, however, and requested to buy 2 different pairs of boots that I'd already brought out. Entitled Mom: well, you heard her, and I expect these to be 50% off for our troubles. By this point, my manager looked so done. Manager: look, ma'am, I can give you a 5% discount, but anything more would be against company policy. Entitled Mom: fine, but I expect you to fire that slut of an employee you have. My manager didn't even respond and just rang the 2 up. He put the sale on my account, so I got the commission for it, which I was really grateful for. The 2 left, and the store went back to the way it was. My manager brought me some Wetzel pretzels as a compensation. I never saw those 2 again, and I am very grateful for that. Okay, I've worked in a shoe store. I was the children's shoe department manager, so I totally believe this story 100%. I totally do, because I've dealt with parents bringing in their children, like multiple children, and destroying my department. Like literally just not even ask, like every time I would ask them, do you need help with something? They'll be like, no, we're just looking. And then the second I turn my back, they're opening boxes, throwing the shoes on the displays, not even putting them back in the boxes, just leaving them there and then going on to destroy another aisle. So I totally believe this story 100%. Oh, the entitlement, my dudes. The entitlement! Joke's on that girl anyway, because Uggs are fucking ugly. How my entitled aunt and cousin ruined my 10th birthday. Posted by user Shy Girl Turned Sassy. I've read one of your stories before, Shy Girl Turned Sassy. I remember that name. My aunt, Dad's sister, has always been the textbook entitled bitch. When I was a kid, she never missed an opportunity to make me feel like garbage. From thinly veiled insults to outright verbal and emotional abuse, she threw what she could at me in an attempt to break me. Of course, the disgust she felt for me and the faults she found in my dad's parenting never stopped her from mooching stuff off of him or asking him for favors without ever giving him anything in return. She and her husband considered their son to be a gift from the heavens, and he too grew up to be a narcissistic bully who loved to torment me, even though I was 7 years younger than him. My mother passed when I was 1 year old, and both my and my grandmother had been abusive to her as well. But that's another tale for another time. This is about the time she, along with her son, ruined my 10th birthday. This incident resulted in me being put off of birthdays and deciding to never celebrate them again. I just couldn't see them as a cause for celebration. My entire extended family, which included the said aunt, uncle, and cousin, along with some other relatives, were at our home, and my dad and stepmom had gone out to run some errands. My cousin had invited some of his friends over, even though my dad and stepmom didn't know them. My dad allowed them to come after my aunt whined incessantly about how her son would be bored if his friends were not there. I remember sitting in my room and playing with my dog. I knew my cousin would be down there, and I usually did what I could to avoid him. At that time, I suffered from a pretty bad stutter, and when I was upset or angry, it only got worse. This is something my cousin loved to make fun of, and of course, my birthday would be no different. He demanded that I come downstairs to talk to his friends. When I refused, his mother told me to stop being rude and do as I was told. I was a powerless kid, so I really had no other choice. I went down to the living room, and my cousin introduced me to his buddies in his usual condescending way, as the birthday girl. He handed me a novel and told me to read out loud. I tried to read properly, but failed. I was surrounded with judgmental stares, and it made me nervous. I stuttered, which is exactly what my cousin was hoping for. He and his friends began to snicker. I got angry and stopped reading. Cousin called me a freak. His friends looked at me as though I was on display at a zoo exhibit, and wanted to prove them wrong, that I wasn't a freak, that I could read. I tried reading again. This time, on account of me being angry, the stutter was much worse. My cousin decided to mock my stutter, and all but one of his friends roared with laughter. The one that didn't actually noticed my tears and told the others to knock it off. He asked if I was okay. My cousin told him not to bother, it's just a joke, and that I was just oversensitive and being a baby. My rage was boiling over, and I threw the book at my cousin's face and stomped out. My aunt had seen what had happened and decided to pull me by my hair and drag me back to the living room. She told me to apologize to my cousin. I refused. She told me I needed to be taught a lesson for being a brat. I tried to tell her what had happened. She chuckled and said, "So what? He's your cousin, and he's older than you. You need to respect him. Now apologize." I refused again, this time with a, "No, I hate you. I hate all of you." All the while crying and shaking with anger. This didn't sit well with Aunt, and she slapped me before asking why I didn't just die in the womb. She told me I was a troublemaker, just like my mother had been. That she knew the day I was born that there was something wrong with me. That an evil bitch like my mother couldn't possibly produce a normal kid. This was it. I balled up my fist and connected it to my aunt's face. I punched that bitch so hard I busted her lip. By now, all the other relatives had heard the commotion and had gathered in the living room. The moment my fist connected with my aunt is when my dad and stepmom walked in through the front door. The aunt started fake crying. She berated my father for not raising me right and went on and on about how I was violent, ill-mannered brat, etc., etc., etc. The other relatives too expressed their disappointment in me. My dad asked me what the hell I was doing. I tried to tell him that my cousin had done and what my aunt had said about my mother. Unfortunately, my stutter reared its ugly head again, and all that came out of my mouth was gibberish. My tears were flowing again. In the meantime, my cousin had decided to take all of his friends and bail. I was punished for my beastly conduct. My birthday celebration was canceled. My dad called my friends and asked them not to come over. I didn't cut any cake. The presents I was to receive from my parents were stocked away. I was banished to my room and stayed there for the rest of the day. I ate lunch and dinner alone. The next morning, no one spoke to me. I was given my breakfast platter, which I ate in my room. That afternoon, my cousin's friend, the one who had told them to stop bullying me, came over. He told my dad what my cousin had done and what my aunt had said. My dad sat me down and apologized to me, but added that it was still wrong of me to punch my aunt. I just sat there, silently. I was emotionally numb. My dad kept telling me he loved me and that he was sorry. I just coldly stared at him. My stepmom suggested a belated birthday celebration. I refused. I told him I didn't want a birthday party and that I wouldn't celebrate my birthday ever again. I kept my word. Every year since that day, my parents would ask me what I wanted for my birthday, and I always replied, nothing at all. I would ask them not to get any cakes and not to invite any guests. The day I was born now meant nothing to me. Even now, after all these years, I don't celebrate my birthday. Instead, I celebrate the day I landed the job that enabled me to move away from my family and start a new life. I consider it the day of my rebirth. It was the day I was able to leave all the pain and anger behind and could plan for a life that I would live on my own terms. My aunt and uncle's shitty parenting ended up costing them dearly. If you want to know what became of them, do let me know in the comments. It's pretty satisfying. Thank you for reading. Edit. I want to thank all of you for your kind words. I'm sorry I can't reply to each and every comment, but please know your support means a lot to me. You people are amazing. I'll be posting about Aunt and Uncle's downfall within the next 24 hours. Stay tuned. Oh, stay tuned, my dudes. And right here is the only time you people is ever okay to say. When you follow it with "are amazing." Wow. Okay. I need to... Let's scroll down a little bit and see what's happening in these comments. Okay, there are a lot of comments, and I am not finding the story yet. So I did see that this poster, Shy Girl Turned Sassy, is going to be putting up another post about what happened to her entitled Aunt and Uncle. So if you guys want to follow up on that story, the link to this user is going to be in the description under the title of the story, so you can go right to their profile and find their stories that way. So yeah, definitely check them out. And the final story of the day is called Lunatic Entitled Mom Gets Her Daughter Fired from Dream Job, posted by user Heathen Born. I'm a sales manager in the beauty industry. Most of my team are industry veterans that need very little managing, but seasonally we'll bring in part-timers, typically high school or college girls wanting to try out the beauty industry, get some training, discounts, and free product, and about $20 an hour. The way our hiring works is that our employees are hired by two different companies. First, the department store, and then the vendor. The store and the vendor, me, split their hourly. This department store had a very generous discount program for their employees, starting at 20% and going up to 40%. This included designer products as well, so the savings were huge. The store has a policy that you can share your discount with your spouse, but no one else. No parents, siblings, or friends. It's considered theft and is grounds for termination. You can't buy things and resell them for a profit either. Most people bend that rule a little bit, pick up shaving cream for their dad or whatever, but as long as you're the one that buys it with your card, you'll never get caught. Basically, don't be a greedy, arrogant dumbass. We hired a senior in high school seasonally who, like me, is a first-generation immigrant. In her interview with me, she talked about makeup artistry being her gift, and she wanted to develop it into a career to support her family and build a great life. That's exactly what makeup did for me, so I was very touched. She told me how our brand in particular was her favorite and how much she wanted to attend our training seminars. After a couple of weeks, a woman comes in and is speaking to her very aggressively in Mandarin. I'm assuming this is a customer. I don't tolerate customers abusing my team and will kick them out, so I walked up and asked what the problem was. Turns out, it was her mother. She had a large pile of expensive fragrances, multiple bottles of the same fragrance from Chanel. She dropped the pile and stormed out. Seasonal employee apologized for her mom's behavior and put the bottles back. A month later, I'm at another store location and spot the mother again, buying multiple bottles of Chanel and Tom Ford fragrance with $25 gift cards. I observe her without knowing and see that she had used her daughter's employee discount. I have no choice but to report it. It turns out that the SE's mother had been buying department store gift cards from Fred Meyer and getting points from them, then using that department store's phone number rewards number system to get more points, buying thousands of dollars worth of products with her daughter's discount and reselling it. It's really pretty genius, and we never would have caught on. Gift cards aren't traceable data if she hadn't used her phone number for additional points with the store. When we terminated the girl, she told us she had begged her mom not to do it, and this wasn't just a job. We were going to fly her to California for training and certify her, and she was getting to work with some of the most accomplished artists in the field. But the mom said she had sacrificed so much to raise her that this was the least her daughter could do. With enough bullying and abuse from mom, the daughter gave in and let it go on. Now, she won't get a job with any line because no store will hire you after you're fired for fraud. Oh, wow. What a bitch. Dude, I would be totally disowning my mother if she pulled that shit on me. If I lost my dream job because of my mother's... Sorry, bye. Oh my god. There just seems to be a huge theme of these entitled parents just taking extreme advantage of their children. Like, I'm sure, your daughter would have helped you out once she started making some money. She would have helped you out. I don't think you had to resort to doing something illegal, causing her to lose her job. Like, what the... I mean, I don't know if it's illegal, but, like, definitely wrong. That is fraud, I guess, if she's doubling up on her points in a manner that wasn't designed to be done. But, like, holy shit, my dudes. Whew. This is why I stay away from the mall. Alright, my dudes, I know this was an extremely long episode, so if you made it to the very end, you guys are the real MVPs, you know what I'm saying? So thank you so much. If you liked it, please hit that like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe and hit that bell notification, otherwise YouTube will never tell you when I have new videos out. And that would just be an awful, awful, awful thing. So don't forget to do that, and as always, the links to these stories will be in the description, so head on over to Reddit and show those posters some love with some upvotes. You know they deserve it. And as always, don't forget to submit your stories, my dudes. I have like 5 or 6 different ways that you could do that in the description. I got Facebook, social media, all those social media links are down there. So you want to submit your stories, go on and do that. I love to hear from you guys, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So until next time, you guys stay freaking amazing, and I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Baba